Om Shri Sai Ram, our most humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Baba. We wish him a very, very happy birthday. Respected elders, my dear brothers and sisters, and little Sai students. Today we are here to take you down memory lane and try and share a few things that Swami taught us in such a simplistic and simple way when we were real small little kids like these little children here. So I'm going back 31 years now, when I was 5 and a half and I joined Swami's school in Puttaparthi. First and foremost, what comes into my mind was Swami is and will always be our mother. So when we were little, Swami would ask, what did you eat for breakfast? Okay, we had idlis. How many idlis did you have? 2. Only 2? Oh my God, your mom will say, I'm not taking care of you, you're becoming thin. Then he would ask, did you like it? So starting from food till if you were ever ill, he would, send Jogara uncle to go and say, okay, look after the children should always be taken care of. And coming and mentioning about food, we were always taught to say prayers before we eat because you don't know who's cooked and with what mind. And also for all the moms and dads who cook, try and tell prayers, or if you don't have the time, at least put on the tape where some Vedas or bhajans are going. So the food that our kids eat gets sanctified.
Just like Swami says that the Pancha Koshas, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. So the first basic element here is Annamaya Kosha. So the food that we eat should be, pure and sanctified, and that's the reason Swami always insisted that we pray before food. And every time, not only in school, even in Anandapur College, just before we had our food, whether it was breakfast, lunch or dinner, we used to pray, and we used to chant the Brahman and the Partika food. So.
Okay, the next thing about studies. Swami used to say, if you read 5 times, it is equivalent to writing once. I know most of us nowadays don't write, but you should try and write because it saves you time and you study better. I remember whenever we had exams, on our blackboard we would find, do your best and Sai will do the rest. And till today we follow that for everything that we do, whether it's a project at work, whether it's something trying to teach your children, always do your best and Sai will do the rest. The next thing is about sports. Swami gave so much of importance to sports, games. We always look forward to the annual sports which we had on 11th of January, where we always would be taught to dance, some formations, and Swami looked forward so much towards it. He would come to the primary school, he would go to the boys, he would go and always suddenly come and give us a surprise where he would come and see us practicing. And here we say multi-prayers. Swami not only taught us to respect all religions, but also look forward to celebrating all religions. So you should never differentiate based on religion, but rather look forward and see, okay, there's something else coming. There's Diwali, there's Durga Puja, there's Christmas. So no matter what religion is, look forward towards celebrating it apart from respecting it.
So for us, the students, we were like looking forward to each and every festival because we want to know what Swami is going to wear, what robe is he going to wear, who will be the chief guest, that sort of thing. And then suddenly when Swami just comes out of the mandir with probably a yellow robe or an orange robe or probably even white. During Christmas he wears white robe. And that used to give us so much of joy looking at our mother wearing, beautiful colors and then coming out of the thing. That actually gave us a boost, and we always used to look forward to that.
Swami was a child amongst children. Whenever Swami got a new car, he would be so excited. He would come to primary school and show his car around to the kids. The kids could go around. Even while playing, he would teach us simple lessons. So once he came in a red car and he was so excited, he pressed a button and he told the kids, see how the door opens up, see how the seat comes up. And then he asked a little girl, do you know what was the number plate? And then she looked a little surprised and she said no. After a while, Swami called her again and said, always remember to be alert, be observant. So that's something in such a simplistic way, but it will always take you far away in life. Yeah. So be observant and be alert. The next thing we would like to speak about is prayers, which hold so much of importance in our lives. At school, we were always taught, no matter what you want, pray, you will get it. And we believe that prayers go up and blessings come down. In life today, when in doubt, pause. When angry, pause. When you're stressed, pause. And when you pause, pray. And prayer doesn't have to be just in your puja room or early in the morning. You can pray when you are going on the train. In between meetings, prayer could be meditation, could be just a moment of silence, could be with the Japmala, prayer could be anything. But when you remember Him before everything that you start, He takes care of the action and you will get the results that you want. So prayer is something very important. Just a small thing I would like to mention here. Swami very often would come to the boys' institute, which is just opposite to the primary school. So one day he came there and all the primary school kids came down so happy that Swami would visit us, but he didn't come. And then our headmistress said, maybe you children have been naughty and that's why Swami didn't come. So she told us all, go and pray. So we prayed very hard saying, Swami would really like you to come to our school. In 2 days' time he came and the gate was locked because it was late in the evening. Swami had to honk a couple of times before he could come in. And finally when he came in, he said, the gates were closed, but your hearts were open. So prayers can do wonders.
So someone in the interview room, someone came to Swami and said, Swami, I don't know all the chantings that your students do, I don't know anything. And then Swami looked at him and said, what do you say? Swami, I just know to love you. Then say, I love you, Swami. So that became his prayer. So I love you, Swami became that man's prayer. So that was a message for everybody sitting in that room, saying, I love you, Swami. If you don't know to pray, just think of Swami, that itself is your prayer.
Now something on a more humor side of Swami. Whenever Swami came for prize distribution to school, it was one of the happiest days. Like you children got certificates today, Swami used to come to primary school, to Anantapur, to the boys' hostel and give prizes and certificates. And he was so patient, he would wait through all the programs, give the prize to each and every student. So that was something we always look forward to, and it is also Swami's way of teaching us that if somebody does something, they need to be appreciated. So even at work, whether you're a project manager, whether you're a team lead, when somebody does something good in your team, you should always acknowledge and appreciate them. And at work, this is something else that we hold very close to our heart. Swami always said, if you can't oblige, at least speak obligingly. So that is so important for all of us. It's so simple, yet sometimes difficult to do. The next thing we would like to talk is on marriage. So Swami says, if you understand each other and adjust to each other, you will never say, oh, I had to compromise, I had to give in. Because you are understanding and then adjusting. And he also said, as partners, you are like two wheels of the same cart. You should move along together. So once Swami said, what is a wife? Who is a wife? Wife is very invited forever. And everybody laughed. And then Swami said, no, correction. Wife is wisdom invited forever. Yeah? The next thing is something, a very deep topic, which I know many of us still are figuring out. What does surrender really mean?
Yes, so many people come to us and ask us, you being Swami students, you all should know what surrender means and how do we surrender ourselves to Swami? Is it the actions that we do that we have to surrender to Swami, or is it the result that we have to surrender to Swami? What is it that we have to surrender to Swami? To this, Swami beautifully has given an explanation in Satya Sai Speaks, and he says, wherein he says, surrender your body, your mind and your soul. That becomes a total surrender. So how do we do that? Surrender your body, mind and soul. It was so, everybody was so confused. How to do that? In day-to-day lives, it's so difficult. The first step, Swami says, consider God as your friend. Sakha, I think all the students in Bhagavad Gita just now, they chanted a verse wherein they say that You know, Swami, you are my friend. That is the first step. Consider Swami as your first friend. And then start discussing everything with him. You know? Swami, is it right or wrong? Swami, am I doing the right thing? Am I going the right way? Show me the direction, Swami. Swami from inside will guide you and show you all the way, all that you have to know. That is the first step to surrender yourself to Swami. And then Swami goes on to explain that, you know, that is when you actually, the moment you do that, you're offering yourself to Swami. Your mind is now tuned into Swami. And then how do we actually tune into Swami? What is the frequency that we have to tune in? That is when Namasmarana teaches in. That is when we need to pray to Swami to guide us. And that's when, you know, you start surrendering yourself to Swami. So
I remember in our dining hall, all along the side we had quotations written. As simplistic ones as food is God, don't waste food. The end of culture is perfection. Now, no matter what Swami did, he never did it if he didn't do it perfectly, and that is what he expects out of all of us as well, whether at work or at home. If you do something, do it wholeheartedly and to perfection. Once Swami came to school, and the whole school was cleaned up to the very last door. He went around everywhere, and there was a little attic in the corner. He went there and he opened the door and everything was neat and piled up neatly. He saw a patch of water there and he said, "Oh, a cat has done something and you didn't clean it up?" So, you know, it was his way of teaching us that, you know, every little thing matters. So, when we keep our houses clean, you know, as Swami says, cleanliness is, earlier we used to say cleanliness is next to godliness, now it is cleanliness is godliness. So, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's our children, ourselves, we always keep our home very neat. Now, as we grew up, as we grew older and were becoming young girls, and then the next thing was to become young ladies, what did he teach us? So he taught us saying, you get married, we don't know, you know, whether your spouse's family would be into Swami's line, but be patient, and if you're not allowed to go for bhajans, or, you know, if you're unable to go, when you're cutting vegetables, take his name. When you're rolling chapatis, think you're expanding your heart, take his name. If you don't have time, when you're at work, take his name. In between meetings, take his name. And then he also said that when you get married and if your in-laws are happy, that will make Swami happy. So that's another teaching for all of us women. Then as mothers, what role can we play? We had a teacher called Vimla Auntie, who was the first teacher when we are 5 years old. And she was teaching the students saying, whenever anybody comes into your class, say Sai Ram loudly and happily. And then suddenly, 2 minutes since she said that, they saw Swami was standing near the door. So all the kids told each other, let's get up and stand and say Sai Ram. So they all stood up and said, Sai Ram Swami. And the teacher was shocked and she turned around and she said, oh, not to Swami. And then Swami said, children are like clay. As we mold them, that's what they become. And then he went and told the children, your first lesson learned was very well done. And when Swami used to visit the classrooms in Ooty or in primary school, he would suddenly come in. But even then, to teach the children, he would stand there for a second and say, excuse me, and then come in. Imagine the Lord having to say, excuse me, but that was only because so that the kids understand that you never just barge in, but you say, excuse me before you come in. So he was a very kind and loving teacher, and he taught us that if you ask him for something from your heart, you will always get it. But as we mentioned also, you can ask him but surrender. Do not say whether you will get it or not, just leave it to him. He used to say, like, sometimes I want to give you diamonds, but you ask me for stones. So he does know. All we need to do is have the faith and believe in him. I just was telling Satya this morning, I counted how many times in a day in primary school did we do prayers. Can anybody guess what the number was? 15. It was exactly 9 times. 9 times.
It is 9.
So we woke up in the morning, said the morning prayer, Supravatam. Then we did breakfast prayer, then we had the assembly, then before we started our classes we said a prayer, and then lunchtime, and then just before we finished classes, again we did a prayer, then we had evening bhajan, and then dinner prayer, and then we always ended our day with Hanuman Chalisa and also with the night prayer. And the last topic is spirituality. So, spirituality begins where science ends. When we were children, we were taught Rudram, we were taught Mantra Pushpam. We didn't know the meaning, but not completely. And now I know today's children always question everything. Why should we do this? And now science proves why you should say Rudram, why do we chant 108 names, why do we say Om Bhutbhuvaswah.
Swami said that science is the study of creation, spirituality is the study of the Creator. So imagine the study that we have to do. So he always stressed upon the Adhyatmic Vidya or the spiritual Vidya that one needs to learn. And then Swami always used to say that, studying the scriptures and just doing Namasmarana, is that what spirituality means? What do you mean by spirituality, basically? Swami immediately gave the answer that it is nothing but to live the teachings of your Guru. Whoever is your Guru, live the teachings of your Guru. That is spirituality. And not just mere Namasmarana, not just mere reading scriptures, not just, chanting the name, divine name. Okay, that is just to tune your frequency, but then what actually spirituality means? It means to live, practically, to live the teachings of your Bhagavan.
And last but not the least, Swami also always taught us to respect our parents. He said, just the fact that your mother's borne you for 9 months in her tummy, even if you make shoes out of your skin, you can't repay her just for that. He also said, if you keep your mother happy and if you respect her, you'll always be successful in life. So respect to parents is another. I'm sorry about this disturbance, but hopefully he listens to his mom, then he'll be successful. Yeah, so we're just Swami walking around. That's kind of you. So we'd like to end with this prayer which we did at school, and this was written by Swami himself. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument for Thee. Jai Sai Ram.